Senor,
Pancho,
how are you, my friend?
doing good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. You look great there. Look,
Thanks,
that office looks amazing.
thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Very good. Well, you're a special guy. That's why I take an episode of Challenge with Pancho from the Denver airport.
Denver
So
Airport.
that's it. There you go. You have a smile right there. Boom. Back to the mask.
Where are you headed?
Heading to Fort Lauderdale tonight. I'm going to with my girlfriend to Florida. We're going to wedding in Miami this weekend, and then next Thursday we fly from Miami to Mexico for another wedding, and then we're eventually coming back to Denver. But lucky for me, I work for FFL, and I have access to just like run some leads while I'm in Miami because I have my license there, and I also, besides that, I'm going to be going over the live transfers as well. So I'm very excited I can do that from anywhere.
Man, that's exciting. The live
Yes.
transfer is taking off. I've got a lot of friends and buddies who are hitting that, and I mean, it's like every day they're closing a couple different ones.
Have you tried anything so far or not yet? Have you tried them?
No, I haven't. I haven't set that up yet, but it's like on my to-do list. So it's one of the next few things I'll be doing.
That's great. Well, Jared, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Can you hear me well? There's probably a lot of noise in the background, but can you hear me well?
I got you, man. Loud and clear.
Fantastic. So what we do here with Challenge with Pancho is just to go over different things about our industry, Family First Life itself, and overall, like what I'm going to do at the end of it is going to challenge you with a couple of little things here and there. The Spanish side, you have it figured out, so you should be fine. My hope is that it's better than Andy's. But anyway,
we'll see, man. No promises.
No problem. So first of all, what we want to go over today with you particularly is because you're a guy who travels a lot. So I want to go over a little bit about travel trips. How do you go about it? How do you prepare yourself? How do you tell us about how we have the opportunity to go and travel and work in different areas? And then also I want to touch base a little bit on work spots. And if you can explain a little bit what WorkSpot is like, why it's a benefit for agents coming in the Family First Life, and why we want to make the most out of it while we have it. So to get us started, Jerry, like tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started with FFL, and what were you doing before this?
Got it, man. So before this, I was selling pest control door to door with Andy, and we did that for quite a few summers. And, we kind of figured things were coming to an end. And so we were both looking around and starting different companies and kind of just looking around what would, help out with our income that we were used to making. He found FFL through one of Jake Conan's ads on Indeed. And he told me about it. I just thought he was crazy, but he went and got his license. And then I told him, I was like, hey, dude, if you can make like $5,000 your first day, I'll get licensed. Well, I had to get licensed. So he went out and made $5,000 his first day. So I went and booked my exam, and it was, it was like within a week, I got my study material and I studied one day. The next day I took the exam, passed, and I was in the field.
Wow. Huge, very fast transition, and all thanks to Indeed and Andy also pulling it off. He clearly wanted to have you on his team as well.
Yeah.
You guys compete every single day, which is the best thing. It's one of the best competitions I see live at FFL, I believe. It's like that friendly competition, kind of like, hey, man, I saw a couple more than you today. What about tomorrow? Here we go.
Yeah, a little package deal. Yeah.
It is a really good package. I had the pleasure of meeting both of you during the sales conference in Kansas City, and that was pretty special. Coming in fresh, and of course where you are right now, you're in your current office. Tell us a little bit, where are you in the country at the moment?
So I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Salt Lake City, Utah, but you're originally from Texas.
Yeah.
That's right. So how do you like Salt Lake?
It's great. I love it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not Texas, but I'll take it.
Tell us a little bit about the office over there. How many offices are available? How many people, more or less?
Man, I want to say it's probably one of the biggest offices that FFL has. It's massive. I mean, we've got probably, I think, 60 plus desks. It's
Wow.
massive. Yeah. And so, we're trying to, invite it's a new office. So we're inviting a lot of the agents here locally to come participate. And, we get a lot of agents that are traveling that come stop here. We're really close to the airport, so a lot of people come in for the dial days. But it's been great. Yeah, the office is
That
huge. You're able to eliminate all your distractions, focus, and just be dialed in rather than like getting up and doing laundry or doing the dishes or something that you would at home. So
No, that makes total sense. So you mentioned something. You mentioned that the office is close by to the airport, and a lot of people driving by or flying in, they get to stop by, and the huge benefit of having access to the office is that yeah, you eliminate all the distractions. You come in, even though you're 100% independent. That's your place where you go to work, and you're with like-minded people doing the exact same things. So the schedule, the classic schedule, dial day, Monday, Thursdays to book appointments for Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and so on, right?
right, yeah, one of the
So
biggest advantages that we all have here at FFL is everyone's independent, but we work as if we're all on the same team. you know and so everyone is so willing to share with everyone what they're doing for dials, leads, how they run appointments in home, how they overcome objections. And so when I came here to the office, I changed a lot about how I dialed my in home, how I overcome objections, just because you just rub shoulders with a lot of experienced writers. And I mean, that's the biggest value, is connecting and getting to know other agents and finding out what they're able to do success wise. That's been huge.
I couldn't agree more. I am very privileged to have access to the Denver office, where Zach Tordowski is usually around there, and Easton Patton, and these people, and Wiley Hawkins, and John Shield, and many more, Clint, who are like, you listen to them, of course, making their calls, booking stuff, um, talking about their appointments, and running trainings, and it's a game changer. And as you mentioned, we're all independent, but in my opinion, it's one of the best things about this company that we get access to um, so many resources, because people are willing to give their time, just like you're doing right now with me. You're giving your time to share your knowledge with other people that are trying to join us at FFL, or on the fence, or people who are even looking for insurance. I want to learn a little bit more about how passionate we are. We actually care about taking care of families and protecting them. So, getting into a little bit of our topic today, which is travel trips, Jared. How many travel trips do you think you've done so far this year?
That's a good question. I would say probably at least 2 or 3 a month.
2 or 3 travel trips a month. What does a travel trip consist? Is like, what is a travel trip? How will you define one?
um, I mean, yeah, that's a good question. You know, it, it could be just a 5 hour drive and staying in a hotel, or it could be you're crossing the whole other side of the country. But I would say pretty much anywhere that you go, that I would say probably at a weekend at a time at least. When I run a travel trip, I'll do either a whole weekend, so I'll do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I'll come back Monday, or I'll go for a whole week, Monday through Friday or Saturday, or I'll go through a whole weekend. So,
Right,
you know, Monday the next Monday or so.
right. And then when you're planning your travel trips, how do you go about it usually?
Man, I just
How
find
do
the leads. I
tell
find
me
the
about,
leads.
tell us about it. Where the leads are, is that's where you go?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I'll grab my state license. I'll get my non-resident license in a bunch of different spots, and I'll just keep an eye on the CRM, and I'll just look at the lead type as well as the amount of leads, and I'll just basically I'll start buying leads a whole week or more in it ahead of time. That way, when I get there, I've got a plethora of leads. I don't want to be short on leads, so I'll start buying my lead the whole week in advance. Um,
That's very that's very smart. So, how you mentioned, I see a lot of leads. For example, I don't know, in Ohio, and you want to travel to Ohio and you don't have the license. How hard is it to get the non-resident license, Jerry?
Takes like 3 minutes.
It takes
Just
like
go to
3 minutes. So, what do you have to do? Do you have to take an exam for it as well, or how
no.
does it work?
You just pay the state fee, and every state's a little bit different. Some states are like 20, $30, $40, $50. Some states are 120, 200. I think Illinois was one of the most expensive. I think it was like almost 300 or so.
Hmm.
Um, but that's on the high end. But yeah, you can just get your non-resident license. Once you have your resident license, you can get a non-resident license in all 50 states.
That is fantastic. How many licenses do you have so far? You think
15.
you have 15 licenses, man? 15 licenses. That's amazing. And
Yeah.
of course, like, have you already traveled to all those 15 states or done a
No,
bit of business there, or not yet? Trying to
no,
get
not
there.
yet. Not yet. And but I have agents that are spread out in those states.
That's
That's a
right.
big
So
reason why I have a license there as well. So that I'm able to
that's right.
buy leads and have an inventory leads for my agents when they get going as well.
That's very smart. So you've recently done a very successful trip to Alaska. And of course, you're in Salt Lake City, you're a guy from Dallas, and you ended up going to work in Alaska, right? Just to go and
Yeah.
do insurance. Tell me, how did you plan that trip? How did it go? What was the end result? How long were you there? Tell us a little bit about it.
So the reason why I went there was because they had a lot of leads, and there was obviously not a people running that area. And so I just bought those leads a week in advance, and I just kind of kept an eye on the CRM and just kept buying leads like every day. Just add, 5 more here, 10 more here, and then the day before my trip, I bought a big bulk as well. And then that's the only difference is I just stacked all the odds in my favor to have enough leads to have a successful week. I think that first trip I did 30 something thousand in the week, and
In
then
one
the
week.
next, it was actually, was it 42? I think it was either 30 or 42. I'd have to go back and look, but it was
I,
it was a
I
lot.
think it was 42. I remember number four very
42.
clearly when I saw the number. Yeah,
Yeah, it was 42
42,000
that week.
$42,000 on a trip. You made $42,000 on a trip to Alaska in one week. That's how
Yeah,
much some people make in a year, and you did that in one week.
yeah,
That is remarkable, Jerry. That's a lot of work. You were definitely not just sitting around, just doing your thing and enjoying the amazing landscape of Alaska. You were definitely, I'm sure, like going to those appointments, knocking doors in between, doing your regular, right? So
absolutely.
when you're in another place like that, I just came back to like yesterday from a whole week in New Mexico. When you are out of state, when you're on a travel trip, what's the mindset like? Because of course you're not just going back home to make yourself a sandwich like Andrew Taylor usually says. You know what I mean? You're away. So what's
Yeah.
the mindset like when you're on a travel trip?
I like to think of it like I've already burned the ships. I've already paid for the flight. I'm already there. I've already paid for the leads. I've paid for a rental car. I've paid for a Airbnb. So I'm there, right? I mean, I even got groceries in the fridge. Like I'm committed, and so this is gonna work. And there's not even a question of whether or not it's going to be a good trip or not. It's all choice. It's mindset. You're gonna go out there and you're gonna write policies or you're not. And you just commit. And so if you commit hard enough and you give yourself no other option, then you're just gonna go out there and kill it. And that's just kind of that's how I approach my travel trips. Burn your ships, buy more
Burn
leads
your
than
ships.
get uncomfortable. Buying a little bit of leads, there's nothing uncomfortable about that. Because if I only buy 500 or $1,000 worth of leads, honestly, I could just stay home. It's not that big of a deal. It's only 500 or $1,000 bucks. But if you spend 2, 3, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 with your leads and your Airbnb and car and everything, it's like, dude, I gotta go. Like, I've got to be door knocking and booking every single hour on the hour, and I'm running appointments from like 6:30 a.m. to like 10:30 p.m. And you're just in a totally different mindset and zone. So I think travel trips are incredible. I really, really do. And it wasn't until I started being okay with travel trips that I really started to blow up. Because here in Utah, it's not very populated, you know. And when I was
Right.
running here in Utah when I first started, I was only running a couple counties, and I thought, man, a whole hour drive or an hour and a half drive, that's a lot. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll go an hour drive or 2 hour drive, and I make 5, 6, 7, 8 grand in a day. Yeah, that's worth it, you know.
Right.
And then realizing, okay, I can take this to the next level, and I can fly to a different state that just has a ton of leads, and I could be there for a weekend and do 30 grand in a weekend.
Right. So that is fantastic. The one thing I want to point out, Jared, because you do talk about it now, so many months later after being here, of spending $500,000 on leads, like it's something completely normal. But $500,000 sometimes it's like for someone it's someone's rent. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Yeah.
but for you right now, it's natural. But why is that natural? Because when you put that kind of investment, you more or less, how much are you expecting out of that investment to make back? More or less.
And at least 5 times, 5x. So the way I
Exactly.
look at leads to this point is I'm just playing with house money. My first lead order, um, I want to say I only spent maybe 500-600 bucks, but my first week I wrote just under 15,000 in annual premium. My first policy was $7,000, so that was deposited in my bank account within a couple days. So from my very first lead order, I've been getting all these deposits, and every lead I buy, it's all house money. So it's not even. I look at it. It's not like it's not my money. This is the business money. This is what the business needs to roll and be successful. So I don't
That
I
is
don't
so
look at.
important. That is so
Yeah,
important because the only money that you invested was that first initial money that you put in.
that's it.
That's it. That's it.
And so I'm really. I really try to help my new agents understand that if you do this right, you only have to buy leads once.
That's
Your
it.
first lead order, you buy enough leads, you work them. That's the last time you'll have to buy leads.
As long as you continue to reinvest the money back into the business and to let the business basically do it for you. But that's a very, very good tip. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't get that for a very long time, Jared. That's very important that you share that. No one, that's what I love about having different people. Like this is episode 6 so far, and then everyone brings something different every single time that I haven't heard or somebody else hasn't heard for sure.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing that. That's fantastic. So let me go a little bit about. So you have travel trips. What are some things that you learned to prepare in advance in order to be more efficient during your travel trips and not just go and be like, oh man, I wish I didn't do that. Now I spent this X amount of money and I only made whatever. You know what I mean? It wasn't a good weekend. So what are a couple of tips that you believe that are very important in order to have a very successful travel trip?
Yeah. I would say, you know, I
Besides
guess
buying a lot of leads.
yeah,
Besides buying a lot of
for
leads.
yeah, for example, like I like to print all my like leads off, like my mailers and stuff. And so I'll make
Yep.
sure they're all printed off and organized before I go on my travel trip. What I'll also do is I'll export all my leads to Excel, and then I'll import my leads into Google Maps. And so what it'll do is it'll put a pin on every single one of my leads in the area I'm running in. So on my dial day, I'm booking 15 appointments non-negotiable. You're not going to sit with all 15 people, right? So if I go to my 8 o'clock, my 8 a.m. appointment and they're not there, I look at my Google Maps and I've got a lead like 3 blocks away. I'm going to go door knock that lead, you know? And so it's being efficient with your time. So before my travel trip, I'll make sure I have my leads printed off. I'll make sure that all my leads are imported to Google Maps. That way I'm not just sitting in a parking lot, or, driving around doing nothing. I just want to make sure that I'm in front of people, getting in front of people, whether that's through my appointments or through door knocking.
Very good. We have a question in the chat that is a very good question. It says, what's a lot of leads and how many for how many days do you usually get?
I like to have 100 leads new to me on each dial day.
100 leads new to you on each dial day. So it
Yep.
could be any kind of lead. Do you call all sorts of leads or do you have a particular set of leads that you call in general,
All
Jared?
types. All types. I love mailers, and I fill in with internet leads as well.
You go for your mailers and you fill in with internet leads, which is great. Okay, very good.
You can even
And
do a lead campaign order with different lead vendors like Facebook internet leads
yep,
to supplement as well, which are huge on on your travel trips.
very good. Bless you. So very good. I think there's a lot of very important information there. Having 100 leads that are new to yourself, meaning it could be older leads, but they're new to you. They're there. They haven't been resolved. And as you mentioned, I really like that tip about the maps and importing them back into maps. How do you do that? Like if you can just walk me through it really quickly about like
Yeah,
you put it on Excel and then how do you import
you put
them?
them on. You put all your leads into Excel, and
Yep.
it's just got your client's name, their address, their phone number, the lead type, all the information they
The
basically
address.
need, the address and everything. And then you just go to googlemaps.com. You create a map, and then you can import You can just drop in your import of your Excel, and it puts the pins on the homes automatically for you.
Never done that before. I'm definitely doing that next time I'm running. 1000%. Thank you for teaching me
It's
that
a
one. That's awesome.
it's a game changer. If you don't know how to do that, you just YouTube mass import Google Maps. Mass import Google Maps, and that's a game changer, guys. I mean, I can't tell you how many policies I've written door knocking.
Oh
There's so
yeah,
many, so
1000%.
many.
People are
I'm
literally like throwing
Yeah.
money
Here's the
away if
thing:
they're not door knocking.
our leads are so good that you don't even have to have the appointment with them. Just get in front of them. These are people asking for life insurance, so it's not that complicated. So if you can't get them on the phone, you text them or you just show up at the office.
Show up.
Say, hey,
You show up.
I got the request you wanted for the life insurance. I'm here. Let's go over it.
That's
What
right.
better?
It doesn't get better than that. And it's people are afraid of some people are afraid of knocking on the door of a person who requested insurance, and you have the license to help them.
Yeah,
I'm like, what is wrong with you?
yeah. Because people just want help, and what you guys find out if you're a new agent, they want somebody, a human, to go over and sit down with them and explain this stuff, you know? And so they're so grateful. I mean, you're not bothering anybody. If
No,
you're cold calling, that's something else. That's not what we're doing. But these are people that are asking for help.
yeah, that is that's the bread and butter of our business for sure. Uh, just serving families. At the end of the day, that's what we're doing, right? So let me transition now. Thank you for sharing so much about travel trips and the best practices on that end. Let's go over a little bit about work spots. What's work spots? Why is benefits? What are some benefits of having work spots right now? What is it?
Man, WorkSpots is getting cooler every single week, right? So WorkSpots is just we partner with WorkSpots to help us get to 400 offices across the country. So no matter where you live, there's likely a FFL office somewhere in your area, right? Not that it's like down the road, but within an hour or two, you probably have an office in your area.
Yep.
So if $99, right, is what the WorkSpots membership is. So
Yes.
you can spend $99. You'll have 24/7 access to pretty much any office in the country. Not only that, it pays for itself with lead discounts. And so on one lead order, it's paying for itself for the whole year, basically, or 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Because we'll get a discount, a lead discount, like every week, right? Like every week or two at
Correct.
least.
Yep.
Yeah. And
What
now
about how?
I was going to
Tell
say
me.
now there's a WorkSpots discount for enterprise, 50% off your rental car and everything like that. I mean, it's
50%
crazy.
off, exactly. And let me tell you something. Yesterday, as I mentioned, I'm at the airport right now, on the way right to Florida. And then yesterday, I was looking at like renting a car in Florida, and no, not a joke. At the moment I started looking, I received this email from WorkSpots, and I check it out. It says, "Oh, 50% off rentals with Enterprise and National." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So I set up the account. I went in, and the way that they have it set up is super cool. They give you an Emerald status, so they give you 50% off of your rentals, whatever kind of rental you do with the car. They give you a mid-size car, and you don't have to go to the counter. Once you get to your destination and you go in, they have a lineup of cars that you literally go in there and you pick up whatever car is available that you like, that is in that section. You pick it up, you drive it out, then you show your credentials, and you're out of the gate. As simple as that. You come back in, you drop it off, and they send you by email your receipt. It's that simple.
Right.
And I saved myself, I believe, almost $1,000 just thanks to WorkSpots for this week in Florida, just to give you an example, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
And the biggest thing and probably the most overlooked is just getting into an office where you have agents that are doing, I mean, I would say in every office there's at least a couple different 50K, maybe even $100,000 a month producers. And so you're able to sit there and watch them do their dials. You can hear what they do. You can ask them questions. They run trainings. There's trainings in every office every single week too.
Man, this company is literally getting better every single day. I don't know if it's a big, I know it's a big impact from integrity on some sort, but it's the people, like at the end of the day, the people who are coming in here and they're understanding what's going on and what we're making happen uh, by um, by joining and and becoming part of the system right away, um, you cannot fail. Like people that come here and try to like reinvent the wheel or something like that, they have a very hard time, right? But if you
Right.
come in here and you follow exactly the direction of the people that at the offices or people all over the country, like right now I'm in Denver, you're in Salt Lake City, and we're connecting. And if we need something, we text each other. You need some help with whatever, we reach out to each other, and we're there for each other, which is great. I think it's one of the best things, and I keep repeating myself on that on every episode because it's just what it is. We have another question here in the chat says, "Have you tried doing any telesales?" And
Yeah.
have you tried anything, any Jared?
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely written policies over the phone just on my dial days. And, if people can't meet and they're out of town, you just write them a policy there over the phone. As far as like the live transfer leads, I haven't tried those yet.
Very good. Yeah, I have done, to respond to a question, I have done 3 calls over Zoom, and I was able to sell a couple of those. So I know it works out as well. Some people cannot meet, they are traveling, they are on the go, but they're still interested. Sometimes you have to meet them where they're at. That's the best thing. If you try to force it too much, they're like, oh, I have to come to your home. That's not true. We don't have to come to the home. We
Right.
can do it. We can do it over the phone. We have access to multiple carriers that allows us that to be able to have a Zoom call, still like understand their situation, understand their needs, give them the options, and then write them that policy.
Yeah.
So I believe that yeah, responding to the question, we do everything. We do face to face. We do telesales. We do uh, um, those dials that were sorry, the live transfers calls that we're talking about earlier, Jerry. It means that you can work from anywhere. I was
Yeah.
watching, I don't know if you know Dan Chernati. So
Yep.
Dan is right now in Mexico, and he was from Mexico with his American cell phone. He's literally still getting calls from there, working from there, and then doing Zoom calls and live transfers from there, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then you think about it, and he's living in a different country and just still serving families completely remotely.
Yeah.
So
That's incredible.
it is a game changer. That is it's up to you. If you want to put in the work and you want to get there, there's there's no way around it. Like you if you want to make money, you want to work, it's gonna happen. This job is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. But if you want to put the work, you get the returns, right?
That's
So
true.
time to challenge you a little bit now, Mr. Jared Dement. Uh, how do you challenge yourself to be uh, better every single day at the when you're on the field or on your dial day? How do you challenge yourself?
How do I challenge myself? Um, to be honest, I always just start my days off at zero. I don't think about the policies I wrote yesterday, last week, or last month. I don't think about the policies I wrote in the last appointment. And so I always start at zero, and I treat every client like they're the only one I have. And so, I mean, I guess I just never getting complacent and not thinking about what success you've had and just realizing that, you've got to be on it all the time. Right now, I think a big challenge I have is getting my agency built up and
And I
getting,
was, you're getting ahead of it. I said, how do you challenge your team? So tell me about
okay.
that. Tell me about that part. How do
So,
you
yeah,
challenge your
but yeah,
team?
as far as challenging myself, like, I like to run with the big dogs. When you're working out as an athlete, if you want to get big and strong, you work out with the biggest guy in the gym, right?
Yep,
Same
correct.
thing here. If you want to be a crazy successful producer, you need to hang around the crazy successful producer. So I try to surround myself with, as much as with Jake or Easton or Zach and, all you guys that are killing it as much as I can. So I mean that just raises the standard. If I'm hanging around and talking to people who aren't writing any business, I'm not going to get any better. So, I try to be as close as I can with people who are doing 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 grand a month, on their own pen. So that's how I challenge myself, is just being around
Right,
those people.
right.
And then with the team, um, I think initially you do a ton, and then you'll be surprised who picks it up and just runs with it, and it's like hands off, and they're just killing it all on their own.
So what happens with the ones that are not killing it and are struggling? How do you challenge them to like stick to the process, stick to what they, yeah. How do you challenge those?
You can't get the wrong person to do the right thing. So I don't waste any of my time with somebody who's not willing to work. So that's the first thing, is I
Good.
got to understand that they've got to want it. even though this is possible and they're telling me they want it, if their actions aren't approving that, then I'm not going to waste my time, right? So I think you got to spend your time with people who are actually hungry and who actually are willing to be humble and learn and just plug in and not try to reinvent the wheel. So you'll never get the wrong person to do the right thing, and there's no way you'll get the right person to not do it. There's nothing
Correct.
you could or couldn't do. If you find a killer, they're going to kill no matter what. So um, I think that's important. Just giving people the tools, showing them the path, and being a leader and example. There's no mistake. My agency did well last month because I issue paid $75,000.
Hmm.
Right? If I issue paid $20,000, I bet my next agent wouldn't do even half that. So
Yeah.
you've got to be the leader, one, because once you do it, you can duplicate that, and you can say, "Hey, I did this. I can show you how to do it." And so when basically just transitioning to the leader role, if you've been successful, then you can help others do it. You just say, "Hey, this is exactly what I did. This is all you have to do."
Great, man. Great advice. Great suggestions there. And last one on the challenging side of things. How do you challenge your clients? When they're a little bit on the fence about getting it or not. How do you go about challenging them?
Um, I really avoid a lot of those objections in the intro. I like to call it kill them on paper before we even get to the close. So before we even get to the numbers and we get to the policies and how much it's going to cost, they already understand very well that we're going to submit an application for coverage. So they're on board. And
Right, right. But I still have to think about it, Jared. I still have to think about it, Jared. I'm
yeah,
not sure. I want to think about it.
yeah, and that's why you got to really find out who the client is, and you've got to learn their situation, because if they're saying they got to think about it, but the whole reason I'm here in their home is because if they die, their kids are going to be living on the streets. There's nothing to think about right there. So if it's the budget, then we just need to tweak the numbers a bit to find something that's going to fit in the budget and be affordable. Start with something. I'm completely okay with starting with a small policy to get it approved on the books and get you covered. It might not be for everything you ever wanted, but at least you've got some coverage in place. I'm cool with that all day long. So
Absolutely.
rather than walking away from a policy, even if I'm writing a final expense and it's only $2,000, in coverage, hey, I will sleep better at night knowing that you've got something in place than nothing at all. So
Right.
I'm just as excited, Pancho, of giving someone a $2,000 policy than I am with $1 million policy,
Correct.
because they're better off now than they were before I walked in the door.
That that's yeah, 100%. That's it.
So
Good.
yeah. And at the end of the day, if you know your client well and you do a good inventory, financial inventory, and you know their situation, you know what's going to look like if they pass away, there's nothing to think about.
Correct.
It's a no-brainer. And with the policies and the carriers that we have, cashback options, I mean, it makes it even, and then, as
Too
far
too
as,
hard to say no.
yeah, and being a broker where you can shop from 30 different insurance carriers, the shopping, I got to look around at other carriers. That's not a issue. There's not a policy that we can't replace, right? There's not a competitor that we can't beat as a broker. So if there's a solution, we're going to find it and we're going to help them out.
Fantastic. That is awesome, Jared. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Now, the special challenge here is to check how rusty your Spanish is. Uh,
Oh,
oh, yeah. Terrible, terrible.
uh-huh.
So you're gonna chill a little because you happen to live in Argentina for a little bit of time. So
Mm-hmm.
so you have to say the following sentence: Si no es ahora, ¿cuándo
Si no es ahora, ¿cuándo?
desafía este momento?
¿Qué?
Okay, that's a good one. Desafía este
Desaf-
momento.
Desafía este momento.
Very good. So you know what that means, do you?
If not when,
If not now, when?
yeah, if not now, when?
Challenge this moment, right? So
Challenge.
we're talking about challenging this exact moment, exactly what you were saying earlier, how you go from one place to another without looking back on like how good or how bad it went on the previous one, how you forgot about what you did last week or last day, and that's how you're challenging yourself, right? is challenging every single moment and how we're getting better, right? So this is what this is about. It's about sharing what we're doing for ourselves, for our teams, for the people that we serve, how we're challenging ourselves to be better for them and be better for ourselves, right? So
Yep.
I very much appreciate you taking the time, being flexible with me, being here in the Denver airport about to fly off.
I
And
love
I,
it.
I, I really appreciate you taking the time, sharing all your knowledge with you. One more thing, Jared, you need to call out. You're going to need to call out the next person that's going to join me. Next week, I have Samantha Brew coming in. First woman joining Challenge with Pancho. So you get to pick a guy, and she's going to be picking girls. So we're going to keep that thread, guy, girl, every week, and that'll be fantastic. So tell me a little bit, who do you think is someone that other people should definitely uh, have the opportunity to listen or learn from, that I
So the
should bring in
next
to.
one's got to be a guy, male.
The next one is a male. The next one is a guy. Yeah. So next one is a male, and it should be in 2 weeks from now. That person will join me. Who should that person be?
You know, I would love to hear from Jake Conan.
Jake Conan, you've been called up, man. I'm looking forward to listening to Jake. Big one. Oh man, we haven't had any of the big ones here, which is a good thing. I love the fact that you're bringing him in. And yeah, so I'm gonna call up to Jake. Thank you once again, Jared, for joining me. I appreciate it. I have a plane to catch, but this was fantastic. You have a great rest of your day. Congratulations on senior sales manager. And if anyone wants to work with you, how can they reach you?
Text me 361-633-3006.
Fantastic, my friend. Well, muchas gracias. Have a
Un
great rest of
abrazo.
your day. Un abrazo muy grande. Thank you, my
Muy
friend.
grande.
You take care, okay? We'll talk
All
soon.
right.
Thank you.
Talk to something, buddy. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Well, thank you everyone for joining on episode 6 of Challenge with Pancho. If you just joined at the end, you definitely want to watch it later. We talked a lot about travel trips and how to prepare to be very efficient on that. Jared went on a travel trip for a week, made over 40K. Definitely something to look at it. The people that we're bringing in are people who are doing really, really good things and have been with FFL for not that long. So you can definitely come in, relate to them, and learn and share this information with other people who might be looking for new opportunity, and in my opinion, the best opportunity in the country. So go take a look. If you just join in later, you can find it on FFL State on the Instagram live options. And last but not least, next week we have Samantha Brook joining us. I'm looking forward to learning about her. She has a new office and learning a little bit about that. And then 2 weeks from now, we're looking forward to having Jake Conan here. You all have a great day. Getting on that plane right now. Take care. Bye-bye.